We've Let's go ahead and get started. We'll respect everyone's time today. So again, as I said, my name is Shane Lerma. I work at Optus here, and what we do at Optus is we help organizations much like yourself, kind of look at their different technology options, whether that's for UCAS, CCAS, safety, like we're talking about today, or anything. We do a lot of the heavy lifting where we can help you find the right fit for your organization. Each organization, as we know, is unique and different, different budget constraints, different features that are needed, different things that are important to everyone. So we do a lot of that back end work, gathering those needs and requirements, and trying to find the best partners to partner with you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sean for a bit here. Sean is one of our premier partners in school safety. These guys do a great job as far as Alyssa's Law, which we've come here to talk about today, and some of the compliance stuffs like Ray Bombs or Carrie's Law. But Sean, with that, I'll just turn it over to you, let you introduce yourself, and get us going here.
Great, Shane. Thank you so much. Very excited to be here, meeting with a variety of school districts in and around the nation. That's something that we specialize in at 911 Informed School Safety Solutions for K through 12 schools, private and public. Once again, my name is Sean Birch. I'm with 911 Inform. I'm a national channel manager based in Houston, Texas. Um, but of course, we support the entire nation. We've got people spread across the nation, and we can help with school safety and compliance for K through 12 schools, private and public, wherever you may happen to be. So not only do we provide compliance, but we provide actual safety solutions to be able to manage through emergency event scenarios during a actual emergency. So the primary thing that we are here to talk about today is Alyssa's Law. What is Alyssa's Law? And so Alyssa's Law says that you must have virtual and or hardwired panic buttons in K through 12 schools to support emergency notification and communication to law enforcement in the event of a emergency. So today it's just a state by state law. And it's been passed in the state of New Jersey. That was the first state. Then Florida, then New York. Tennessee has passed it. Texas has passed it. It's about to be passed in the state of Georgia. And there are a variety of additional states that are in the process of passing their own variation of Alyssa's Law. Each state has written the law a little bit different. So, for example, in Texas, it says that the actual panic buttons must trigger a silent alarm. In the state of New Jersey, there is no language around silent alarm, just alarm notification and communication to law enforcement. So we'll want to work with you to actually define the actual law as it may be written within your state. If you do not have a Alyssa's Law requirement in your state, uh, if it appears as though there's not a pending law in your state, well, then the best recommendation that we can provide is don't wait for the law. School safety should be now. So whether there's a law around compliance or not, we believe that it's best to implement technology solutions to provide safety to all of the students, faculty, staff, administration, and or even parents that might volunteer and anyone else in and around the community. So, it's good to be compliant. That's great. But in today's world, it really is all about safety. Uh, and being able to provide safety for students, faculty, staff, teachers. That's really what it's all about. So at 911 Inform, we have 4 different modules that support not only Alyssa's law, but school safety in general. So, number one, we have a virtual app that is free of charge to download, doesn't cost anything, from either Google Play or the Apple Store, which includes virtual panic buttons. It also includes digital maps. So, part of our implementation process, we will map out every building, every school, each floor, digital maps that include detailed information for each classroom, the gymnasium, the cafeteria, locker rooms in the athletic facility, what's on floor number 5 versus floor number 1. We'll include symbols for fire extinguishers, AED devices, designated safe areas, intercom locations. And then, in the event of an actual emergency event, we will actually map out the best doorway to get in or out of, and we'll draw a red line on those interactive digital maps. We share those digital maps with your local 911 dispatch center. We also share the digital maps with first responders, municipal first responders that are being dispatched to your school locations. And of course, those digital maps are shared with your on-site safety and security teams. That could be a SRO, that could be your on-site police force, administration, anyone that you would like to include for different types of emergencies. So the great thing about our solution, of course, we have an app, and that's fantastic. However, if for whatever reason it's not convenient to open an app, the easiest way to trigger our system is to dial 911 from any telephone, whether an app is installed or not. So that means I could be a parent volunteer. Maybe it's the first and only time that I've ever stepped on site a specific school campus, and I see something. I don't have an app installed, but I dial 911 from my phone. So we can put a virtual geofence around any of your schools, buildings, and or properties. It could be the baseball diamond on the backside of the campus. We could geofence it. And then if anyone dials 911 from any cell phone, we'll provide immediate notification to your team at the school. Of course, those calls will still go to the 911 dispatch center if someone dials 911 from a personal cell phone. Of course. But the difference is when we geofence a property, we provide immediate notification. We drop a digital pin on a map, and then we provide immediate bi-directional communication with your team and first responders to be able to manage through a actual emergency event. So I'll show you what that looks like in our actual demo. So we do have an additional solution that's built around 2 additional compliance requirements. And these 2 additional compliance requirements, we found that most schools are completely unaware of these 2 additional compliance requirements. So they are Carey's Law and the Ray Bombs Act. So these are laws that have been around since 2018. That's when Carey's Law was passed. Did we have a question? That's when Carey's Law was passed, and then the Ray Bombs Act in 2021. So today, Most schools are completely unaware of these requirements. Carey's law says that from any multi-line telephone that might be on site at any one of your schools, buildings, or properties, you must allow for immediate access out to 911. That means if I walk up to a phone, I need to be able to just dial 911 on the dial pad and immediately go out to the 911 dispatch center and provide on site notification that someone just dialed 911 from one of your phones. That's a federal compliance requirement. That's not a state by state requirement. It's mandated by the FCC. Most schools don't even know about it. And there is a penalty and fine up to $10,000 for anyone not in compliance, and then up to $500 per day per device back to the date that the law was actually passed. But above and beyond the fines and penalties that a school could be subject to, what we're really talking about is school safety. So, if everyone's been trained to dial 911, students, teachers, parents, volunteers, whatever the case may be, and I walk up to a phone and dial 911, but it doesn't work because I first on your phone system need to dial a 9 to get an outside line, but I didn't know that. Well, that's a problem. If I need to dial star 757 to get an outside line and then dial 911, that's a problem. And it's against the law. So that's Carey's law. So we also help with Carey's law. The additional law, the Ray Bombs Act, that says you must also provide dispatchable location information for all 911 calls. And so, if I'm in the back locker room of a junior high, maybe in the coach's office, and I dial 911, but instead the actual address that is broadcast to the 911 dispatch center, if it instead shows your local school administration building instead of the address for the junior high, and instead of also showing enhanced location information, not only was it at the junior high, but it was a back athletic building, and the call originated from the coach's office. So that's accurate dispatchable location information. That must be included on all 911 calls as well. So a lot of schools are not compliant. And if one of your schools is not compliant, don't feel like the Lone Ranger, because we found most schools we talk to aren't even aware of the law. But we can help you immediately, and the time is now. And it's all about saving lives and keeping schools safe. So we also have an additional module. This is a game changer. It's known as connected building. And so proactively, we can come out and tap into your video surveillance, your door access control, overhead intercom, paging, and we can install special strobe lights for emergency management. And then in the event of an actual emergency event, we can, of course, provide that technology to your on-site school safety teams, to municipal first responders, and to the 911 dispatch center during an emergency event. So it's only active during the emergency event. No one can look through your video cameras if there's not an emergency. So we only activate it during an emergency. You don't have to worry about any outside video voyeurs tapping into your video surveillance. It's only active during an actual emergency event. So those are the 4 different modules that we offer to help with school safety in support of Alyssa's law, which requires panic buttons. In all K through 12 private and public schools, there's a little bit of a gray line for colleges and universities that might offer classes to high school students, for example, where the high school student might be the regular district high school in the morning, then in the afternoon, they're going to the local college for a advanced class, whether it's a vocational class or maybe some other type of higher ed class that's considered a high school class but offered at the local college or university, then that college or university would also have to be compliant with Alyssa's law uh, per the actual law in each individual state. So we can, of course, help there as well. Uh, so then we also, as I mentioned, provide compliance for Raybon and Carey's Law. But above and beyond compliance, we offer what I would refer to as the utopia of school safety. And we pull all of your technology together as one to be able to manage through emergency events. We also provide complete reunification after emergency events. Let's say there was a tornado bearing down somewhere in the state of Arkansas heading towards the school. And you wanted to move all of the students to a special safe area. And the tornado has passed, everything's over. You want parents or guardians to come pick up their students after the event. So we also have the ability to integrate with your student information system. And then we have real-time knowledge and information relevant to classroom attendance for each individual student. And that also provides access to the actual contact information for parents and guardians. And with our app, you can then launch actual invitations, whether it's teachers, faculty, staff, whoever you think needs to manage through that process, can then send an invitation to parents. Hey, there's been an emergency event. Please come pick up your student at 2 p.m. and drive to the backside of the school gymnasium and show that one-time 6-digit code that we're giving to you to be able to pick up your student. So that's something else that we can do. I'll show you what that looks like in the actual demonstration of the technology. So very important to be able to not only manage through the actual emergency event, but then at the same time, we've got to think about, gee, what do we do after the emergency event? So at 911 Inform, I mentioned that we provide detailed information to first responders as well as the 911 dispatch center. So on the left side of the screen, what you're looking at is a very cryptic representation of what a 911 emergency notification, whether it's because someone hit a panic button or whether it's because someone picked up a phone and called 911, that's the way it has traditionally looked inside of a 911 dispatch center over the past 30 years. So what we do is we provide game-changing next-gen technology that's shared with first responders, municipal first responders, your on-site SRO, your on-site police force, any volunteers, and anyone from administration with digital maps to be able to manage through a actual emergency event. and everything is shared with bi-directional communication. So you can immediately begin communicating with law enforcement with complete situational awareness. I talked about cellular geofencing. So at the same time, we can also put a virtual geofence around any of your properties, buildings, and or campuses. And then, even if you're not using an app, if for whatever reason you don't want to install a actual app, or there's a parent volunteer, or of course a student that might trigger a emergency event by dialing 911 from a cell phone, we can still provide immediate emergency notification with location information, whether someone is inside of one of your buildings or whether they're just somewhere on campus. So we will put a virtual geofence around your campus, schools, and or buildings, and then we will immediately drop a digital pin on a map to show you exactly where that call originated. Now, if someone calls 911 from the back baseball diamond and then they start running to the far side of the campus, we'll show that pin moving on the map real time. Just think of a Friday night football game in a stadium, and geez, someone up in the stadium dials 911. We will immediately show you exactly where that call originated, even if it's outside of one of your buildings. So historically, the only way you would find out about it uh, would be, wait 10 minutes until paramedics show up. And then all of a sudden they're searching through the sands trying to figure out who dialed 911. This provides immediate situational awareness that's shared with your team as well as first responders. It's a game changer. It means you can render aid immediately during an emergency event. It could be a medical event, it could be a bomb threat, could be a impending weather event, heaven forbid, it could be some type of an active shooter event, but this provides immediate notification to everyone involved with situational awareness included as part of that. At the same time, we're keeping a digital recording of the entire emergency event, inside, outside, and that you can use for post-event management. As I mentioned, if there's an emergency event inside of one of your buildings, we also create and provide digital maps. So those digital maps will show first responders the exact location. Walk in through door 3, go down this hallway, go up to the stairs on the back of the building, walk up the stairs, turn right, go to classroom 312. So, and we update those digital maps on a regular basis. If you have any remodels, if you add additional buildings, that's just part of the service that we provide. So that is cellular geofencing with digital maps. And, we could, of course, also include panic buttons, whether they're virtual panic buttons from our free of charge app, or whether they are hardwired panic buttons. You might decide that you want a hardwired panic button, under the desk for every teacher in every classroom. Maybe you want the panic button visible in every classroom, a hardwired panic button, right next to the door. So it's up to you as the school how you want to engineer the actual panic buttons. At the same time, we need to look at the letter of the law for your individual state. are you fine with only virtual panic buttons and just hardwired panic buttons in specific key areas? So we would want to look at your individual law uh, for each individual panic button. So as I mentioned, the panic buttons can be virtual, whether it's from our actual app. You can also browse to our portal to trigger a virtual panic button without any software required. It can be a panic button on a phone in a classroom, a hardwired panic button. We even have options for wearable technology, whether that's a student or teacher badge. It could be a, a phone looking wearable that has a panic button on it, a lapel pin. We have a variety of options that we can include. And with that, it includes communication with police, with first responders, so they can be engaged immediately for emergency events. That also includes integration with your local 911 dispatch center. Today, our technology is installed 100% proactively in, in 92% of the 911 dispatch centers across the nation. So whenever there's a emergency trigger event, we will actually, through the 911 dispatch center, push out that information to municipal first responders and your team of safety professionals, SROs, administrative volunteers. If it's a medical event, maybe you also want, a school nurse to get an emergency alert. If I happen to be a police officer in a squad car, I could pull it up from the actual computer terminal in my squad car. If all I had, maybe I'm a paramedic and I just have a personal smartphone, I could pull it up by just clicking on a hyperlink. So connected buildings, when and if we include that additional option for connected building, tapping into your video surveillance or door access control, overhead intercom, paging, strobe lights, then first responders will also have a single pane of glass view into that technology. So you might even decide you've got a very, very large school campus, and for 911 calls that originate outside of a building, maybe back at the back baseball diamond, maybe you want to launch a drone during that trigger event, fly it over the 911 call, and stream a live video feed back to our system. That's something we could also do. So the sky's the limit. We can also include weapons detection. So using AI technology, we could scan your video surveillance cameras, maybe all of your outside cameras that point out to an outside parking lot, looking for anything that looks like a gun. If we see someone pull a rifle out of a pickup truck, a car, whatever, we could then invoke a automated workflow to lock down a building, play a emergency intercom announcement, move everyone to a special safe zone, do a robocall to the 911 dispatch center, and then share that information with everyone immediately, and providing connectivity to all of your technology as a single pane of glass. So bridging the gap between first responders and the technology that you have on site at your actual schools. So when we do that, it includes access to our interactive digital floor plans, as well as video surveillance, door access control, overhead intercom, and bi-directional communication with first responders. There's a lot of additional technologies that we can tie in. It all depends on your individual school. We can add as many options as you would like us to add. Now, you might decide, well, gee, with the current budget cycle, we only have the ability to first, become compliant. But next year we want to add integration with video surveillance. The year after that, integration with door access control. The year after that, weapons detection. So we can deploy, in individual modules with options. We don't have to add everything at once. If adding everything looks overwhelming, we can do it one step at a time. If you use two-way radios at your schools and you would also like to integrate those two-way radios, we've got a couple different things we can do. We can push out emergency alerts over those two-way radios that individuals, faculty, safety team members, and or even teachers and coaches might be carrying around to be able to brief them of an emergency event over the two-way radios. We also have an option built into our platform where you could click a button to be able to listen to actual communication on the two-way radio platforms. I talked about weapons detection. Now, that's something we can easily tie into our platform, but we could also include license plate reader technology, facial recognition, anything that you want us to add to the platform. So what does it look like? Let's go ahead and take a look at a live demo. What does the actual 911 Inform platform look like? So what we're looking at right now is the 911 Inform Emergency Management Console. Most large schools would have this up and running 24/7, in a security operations center, at a security desk, in an administrative office, something like that. But even if you didn't, we'll still provide immediate notification of any emergency event. And we can send a text to whoever you want us to notify, email, or if you want to install our app, then it would be an immediate screen pop, either on a computer or on a smartphone or a tablet. It's up to you as the actual school. And so let's go ahead and demonstrate an actual emergency event from the 911 Inform Emergency Communication Console. You can also use our platform to run drills, weekly, quarterly, monthly. It's up to you as the individual school. So we're going to simulate an emergency at a high school. And let's say it's a Alyssa's Law panic button. And in your state, let's say it needs to be a silent alarm per the letter of the law. So we'll trigger a silent alarm from classroom 312. So I'm going to hit the button. I could also trigger this, from our app, and I could also trigger it from a hardwired button, installed inside of an actual classroom. So for this simulation, this is what our alert notification looks like. We immediately pop a digital map. That map includes bi-directional communication. I'm going to type red alert. You do not have to use code words on our platform. So, but we found some schools do. It's up to you as the school. It could be, alarm code blue, red alert. Or you could type in plain old-fashioned English. You could type student stung by a bee, classroom 312, tell the paramedics to bring an EpiPen. It's up to you as the school how you want to manage through that. So red alert. Now let's say I'm a first responder rolling up to this actual emergency event. What does that look like? We've got a slightly different menu that we share with first responders, the 911 dispatch center, and your on-site police force, SROs, or on-site safety and security volunteers and team members. And in that, there's a special police menu, but it doesn't have to be just for the municipal first responders. We'll share it with anyone that needs it from your team as well. So let's say I roll up to this school in my squad car. Maybe for whatever reason, we've called the school several times, no one's answering. We have little or no information about what's happening. I'm a little bit concerned as a law enforcement professional. What's going on inside of there? Someone triggered a silent alarm. No one's answering the phone at the school. They've sent us a red alert code. So I'd really like to know what's going on. From my squad car, I see there's a video surveillance camera. I'm going to tap into that from my squad car. So I immediately have a live video feed. And with that, I have situational awareness. So whether it's a camera in a hallway, in a classroom, wherever you may happen to have cameras. And, everything looks okay. And, I think I'm going to go ahead and head on in and check out the emergency. But just to be extra safe, I'm going to go into battleship mode. And this allows us to grid off an entire campus, building, or property. So I'm walking up to the school. And here I am at door 1. It shows door 1 is where I'm supposed to enter. And then I follow the red line. I get up to door 1. Heaven forbid, I see something suspicious. My training has taught me it's probably a pipe bomb. So I'm going to mark it on the map. Pipe bomb. Probably has, I don't know, maybe a 20-foot blast radius. I know that from my training. I'm going to mark it on the map. So once I do that, that goes out to everyone else receiving notifications on your team. That goes out to fellow first responders. We're also keeping a digital recording of that. The 911 dispatch center will see that also. And you see, door 1 is no longer the best door to go into. It's now telling me to go into door 9. And so I'm going to walk around the school over to door 9, but the door is locked. And so I'm going to click on it. Simple mouse click. And I'm going to unlock door 9. So immediately I'm able to unlock a door. I'm able to see through video surveillance. And not only could I just unlock that one door, I might decide that maybe I actually hit the lock command on the door. Let's see. Unlock door. Okay. So the door is now green. I know it's unlocked. I could, if I wanted to, if all doors were unlocked, I could immediately lock all doors as well. But I'm going to go into door 9. And Because we've now found a pipe bomb, we're not really sure what's going on. I'm going to clear individual rooms. Anyone from your school staff that receives notifications, that you delegate to receive notifications, will also have this ability. First responders, your SRO, municipal law enforcement will have the ability to do this. So I'm going to clear individual rooms. Going to make my way down to classroom 312. Here I am. Gee, I'm in there. Everything looks good. But I glance out the window, and now there's a disturbance on the front lawn. I'm going to move the emergency event to the actual front lawn area. So once I move the emergency event, that will be shared with fellow first responders, with everyone on your team receiving notifications. And once again, we don't have to use code words, but if you want to, you certainly can. We now have a new focal point for the emergency. So maybe this is where we're going to dispatch the bomb squad. Maybe the SWAT team is being flown in on a helicopter and they need to know the new focal point. So immediately we are able to share that with everyone. Let's say it's a hostage event, and we need someone from the local FBI field office for hostage negotiations. So I can very easily do that. Shane, I wonder, do you mind sharing your actual cell phone number for a quick little demonstration?
Certainly. You can put in 870-335-5838.
Excellent. So, Shane, I already happen to know you don't have our app installed. That doesn't matter. The app is just an extra thing that schools can install if they want to. You're with the FBI. You've got a personal smartphone. So immediately you should see a 911 text.
I got it.
With that, there should be a hyperlink you can click on.
Yes.
And if you hold up your phone and show it to us, we should be looking at the exact same digital map.
Yeah, it may be hard to see with my background here. It looks like a listening. Yeah, my background's going to make that impossible a little bit. But yeah, got access to the same map where I can, looks like, unlock doors and do everything that you could do on the large computer screen as well.
That is exactly correct. So immediately I've invited you in, and you have access to the same bi-directional communication. You can lock doors from your smartphone. You can peer through the video surveillance cameras. But once I close this actual emergency event, boom, you will lose access to video surveillance, door access control, and it's a one-time link. We don't have to worry about you sharing it with anyone else. We're not saving or storing discoverable information on your personal phone. For law enforcement, that's key. Law enforcement professionals, they don't want to have to hand over a personal smartphone to someone in a court of law for discovery. So none of that information is stored there, but we instead keep that information the actual information needed for discovery as a digital timeline on our platform. So I also mentioned reunification. So let's go ahead and take a look at the teacher menu. So let's say we've closed the event, the emergency's over, everyone's okay. Now it's time for parents to come pick up their kiddos, their individual students, parents, guardians, whoever it may happen to be. And you can do this from just a computer browser, or if you do install our actual app on a smartphone device, you can do it from the actual app as well. Individual teachers. And with it, we can send actual PIN numbers to parents, and it will include detailed instructions. There's been an emergency event. Your student is okay. Please pick up your student at 2:15. Here's the directions to get to the safety building. And please show the 6-digit PIN when you're picking up your individual student. So this is key in emergency management, post-event emergency management. So one additional thing that we offer free of charge, it comes on our base platform, is non-emergency event notification. So let's say, for example, maybe there was going to be a snow day at our school tomorrow. With this, you can broadcast out mass notification to teachers, faculty, staff, students, parents, and guardians. There's going to be a snow day tomorrow. Please don't come to school. And we'll provide an update at the end of the day. So just a neat little extra feature that's included with our technology, free of charge as part of our base package. So Shane, everyone on the line, that's everything in a nutshell. Please ask questions. What additional information can we provide?
So if anyone has questions, feel free to ask, but I'll make a couple comments, Sean, that I've heard you say and some of your companions before. I think one reason that the 911 Inform solution is superior to some others that we've seen, we can do panic buttons fairly easily, right? But the virtual panic button, I think that's important because you could be out on the ball field, you could do whatever. And the geofencing is such a unique solution to 911 Inform because it's not simply triangulation, right? It's a much more granular, specific location that cell phone gets and can move with them within that area. So whether someone trips and falls on the property, whether it's a student or staff member, it really pinpoints that location very specifically versus a general area that any cell phone could provide. But I think the big thing there, and I've heard you say this before, Sean, is a scary statistic for me is 80% of 911 calls are made via cell phone. So not everyone has, the desk phone there to call 911, or they're out on the field, or they're in the parking lot, wherever. With everyone having these electronic devices in their pockets, again, my background's messing up there, but you can't always have that phone nearby you. So everyone uses their cell phone for these things. So 911 really sets themselves apart by having that virtual button, giving that good location. And the other thing is riding on top of existing technology, whether it's their mag locks and their cameras, et cetera. Some companies I've seen and dealt with before, they want you to replace their technology, right, with their technology. You guys will ride on top of most technology there, so saving their investment dollars that they've already made and just connecting and integrating to those technologies versus something new. So just some of the big things that I've seen dealing with other customers and dealing with 911 Inform, where I really think they're a superior product. We've really just seen the tip of the iceberg today. They do so much more, but what they do well. The mapping, the compliance, the just the ability, whether it's a cell phone or a landline, they really take each level to a much higher level than what we see some of the competitors do out there. Um, but I'll kind of stop there and just see if there's some other comments from the rest of the team members here, or from any of the attendees.
Great, great. So it looks like maybe we did a really good job explaining everything in detail. There's not additional questions, so it appears. However, what we will do, we will send a follow-up email summarizing everything with additional details. And then feel free to reach out to us directly if we can provide additional detailed information for you and your team members at your individual schools.
Yeah, certainly, as I said before, I think there is a lot of information. Each school is fairly unique. I apologize, I was going to share here just a little bit of information in case anyone needs it. You can see my email, my contact number down there. I think most of you guys probably received an email from me before the call, but I'll follow up with each of you. But if you have questions, feel free to let me know, and we'll share this information with you. And as each school I know is unique, we mentioned different budgets, different needs and requirements. We can go in a more in-depth demonstration preview with you guys if you want to see more of the geofencing, or you want to see more about the integrated technologies, or just make sure that your existing technology will ride on top of the 911 Inform platform. But with that, Sean, unless you have anything else, we'll let everyone get back to their days and have about 5 minutes left on Leap Day.
Right. Yeah, that's probably the best day out of the whole year to have 5 minutes left. Indeed. Leap Day, invented or brought about by Julius Caesar. Good bit of trivia there.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate everyone's time and attendance today. Thank you. We'll follow up. And if you need something in the meantime, I know a couple of you have reached out already. So we'll be in contact soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you.